Some of the advice that I would give that I really, really wish somebody told me, um, having a good network. Being an entrepreneur can be really lonely if you don't know other entrepreneurs, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what books to get, what courses to take. You're kind of just playing this guessing game so much of the way. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that same feeling where it's imposter syndrome and they don't know what they're doing, but they're just kind of guessing. And it wasn't until about a year plus in that I actually joined a network in my community of entrepreneurs. And it has literally opened up my world.
Welcome to Kindred Spirits, the podcast that brings you unfiltered conversations about life, work, and everything in between. I'm Maddie, and alongside me is my lovely co-host, Melissa.
We dive into conversations about business, career, wellness, community, and so much more to unearth the best advice on how to thrive as the most authentic versions of ourselves.
We're here to unpack the unique journeys of our remarkable guests, exploring the twists and turns that brought them to where they are today.
Join us as we share stories, spark connections, and celebrate the magic that happens when kindred spirits unite.
Let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone. On today's episode, Melissa and I sat down with Kara Wardinger, founder and CEO of Pawty Animals, an eco-friendly dog toy company. Pawty Animals is on a mission to make sustainable dog toys more accessible to Canadians to help cut down on the amount of waste that comes from the pet toy industry. Kara shares some incredible learnings she's gathered from her journey of starting this business and gives some really tangible advice for new entrepreneurs. I think you're really going to love this one. Enjoy the interview.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Kara. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you both?
Excellent.
Doing great.
We're so excited that you're here.
Me too.
So let's just dive right into it. So tell us who you are, tell us your background, and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Kara, owner of Pawty Animals. This business has been around now for a year and a half. It's my first time being an entrepreneur in this new, big, scary world. My background's actually in technology in the IT space. So I've been the digital project manager, building websites for almost 10 years now. Before that, I oddly was doing special effects makeup, which is a little bit interesting towards my background. But yeah, and it's kind of shifted me towards this world of starting everything on my own, kind of using my tech background as well to create this business. I love animals, the environment, so it's kind of brought me to the place I am now, which is Pawty Animals.
Amazing. Love that. We are dying to know a little bit more about your journey with starting Pawty Animals. What was that journey like for you getting it started, and why did you choose specifically the business that you chose?
Yeah, so it was a journey, a lot of research, a lot of talking to different people, different entrepreneurs, different pet owners, retailers, really doing research to kind of see where are the gaps and the needs in the pet space. The idea kind of came to me driving, actually, kind of coming up with the all the different names and the different parodies. There's a lot of dog toy companies out there, a lot of parody brands out there, not a lot of brands that really offer anything Canadian themed, and not a lot of brands that actually offer a sustainable toy option. Kind of doing that research and really realizing that there is a big market fit for that. That's where I kind of came up with the idea for Pawty Animals. Why doesn't this exist? There's a need for this. There's over 130 million dog toys globally that end up in the waste every single year. Seeing that type of impact that's having to our environment, and why aren't other brands, why are there so many amazing dog toy companies that aren't creating a sustainable brand? So I actually figured out that you can create dog toys using water bottles, so making them actually from recycled material into new material. Realizing that that was a possibility, it's just going to cost a bit extra. I kind of put everything into it.
Wow, I'm blown away with that amount of dog toys in the garbage, to be quite honest.
Yeah, exactly. And it really becomes, such a huge area in the pet space that people don't really talk about or look at. And it's virgin polyester that just ends up in waste, and it just becomes a kind of a cycle, right? So, hopefully Potty Animals can really kind of pivot that industry a bit and redefine how people look at, pet toys.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I also love about your idea in the car. I feel like that's a lot of times when you're driving, stuck in traffic, you start to brainstorm, right?
It's the
Um,
best time.
yeah, and I'm curious too, that you mentioned before, there's so much competition when it comes to dog toys. Like you mentioned, there's so many different brands and there's so much going on. What would you say like is, your biggest problems and issues that you face?
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of competition. Not so much in the Canadian market. Surprisingly, a lot of my competitors are actually in the US. We're primarily, Canadian brand shipping to Canada. But some of the problems that I found was really getting customers. So my business right now has kind of somehow shifted more to B2B, but I've definitely noticed that being a smaller brand, and only really offering, specific nine toys. So it is a little bit niche. Um, but I've definitely found that it is a little bit more challenging if you don't have a huge customer base to kind of attract those customers and stand out from the other brands. Not everybody knows that, when they go into a pet store and see my products, or they, glance at a social media post, they may not know that our toys are made from recycled material right away. Right. So it's been a little bit challenging to kind of go up against some of the bigger companies who have such a large database. They offer dog toys, dog treats, dog food, and all of the above, where, if a customer's coming to me, they're really getting, one of nine products or multiple. Um, I think that right now in kind of the competitive space has been one of the more bigger challenges for me.
Mm-hmm. I want to dig into that a little more because I think a lot of people could relate as a new startup with
Mm-hmm.
finding customers being such a huge problem. So, were there any strategies that you felt like really helped you grow the business, either B2C or B2B, as you mentioned, which is your current strategy?
Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, and there were so many mistakes, I didn't really know about wholesale. So started off B2C, kind of played a guessing game with advertising, went advertising on every single channel, didn't really know much about it, hired some people to help me with it, thought that would go well. I wasn't also tracking how much I was spending on those ads or the conversion, which is not the smartest thing to do. But really, what ended up kind of being strategies for me was social media. So instead of focusing so much on the paid ads, which as a new business, if you don't have a huge pool of money, it is really challenging because advertising through Meta, especially right now, they make it super, super, super hard to target people, and it's expensive. So I kind of shifted away from paid ads, from Google ads, from all of the paid, where I'm not getting the big return, and just kind of focusing on social media posts and kind of organically trying to attract people that way, and with influencers. So I wasn't sure how going down the influencer route would actually work for me, but somehow through that influencer route and kind of getting a social media presence, and even a small one in the beginning, that's actually how I started attracting retailers and going down that B2B route. And in the first about 8 to 10 months, I had retailers, multiple, every single week, reaching out to me to see how they can carry my products. And that was kind of how I shifted my business and realized that I'm kind of having all these different strategies for B2C, and it's not working as well as I would have liked it to, and putting my efforts into B2B and then just kind of focusing there. So it was definitely a big pivot. I had no idea how to kind of go with retailers and, creating this product catalog, and do I have to go in person, or how does this all work? But I ended up doing a lot of research, asking a lot of people, but that strategy kind of shifting over to B2B, going through social media, has definitely been a big one. And then on top of that, I actually have hired a sales manager. But again, being a new business, it's really, I can't afford to, hire somebody's full time. So finding good people who are willing to work, for commission and know that it's a bit of a long game, I think is also a really, really rare thing, but it took some time. And I would definitely recommend to, when it comes to going down different strategies, if hiring specific people is something that they're, individuals looking at, to really try to find the right people. And they will come around, being able to get people to join your team for commission only, right? And kind of working with you as you grow your business.
So you've dropped a ton of good advice there. Is there anything else that you would tell somebody who is completely new and is looking to go into retail or the pet care industry that would be some advice you'd give to them?
Yeah, definitely. When I think that when a lot of new business owners are buying books and doing their research, there's a lot of fluff out there. And, 1 year to seven figures, and it's so easy to become a millionaire, and kind of all these things that make, being an entrepreneur seem so easy. But some of the advice that I would give that I really, really wish somebody told me, I think some of the first things are have a proper financial plan ahead of time. I quit my job, kind of just dove, head first in, and didn't have secured loans, didn't have proper financing. I ended up having to use all of my own savings for my business because I've seen movies, they walk into a bank with a box of cookies and they're like, I need money for a business loan. And they're like, okay, here's 100 grand. That's not how it works anymore. When you're a new business owner, nobody will give you any money unless you've been in business for over 2 years. And there's a lot of different caveats around the financials that nobody really talks about. I was working full time. That would have been the time to secure a loan, even if it was any type of personal loan with a lower interest rate. So it has definitely been one of my bigger challenges being self employed and not having a business for 2 years and not having that foundation to show a bank, look at all the millions I'm making. So
Mm-hmm.
that would definitely be my biggest piece is before you quit the job, before you start your business, if you're going to use your own savings, be prepared to not be able to take any money out from your business for 2 years. Some businesses get really lucky, and a lot of it is either luck or if you get picked up by a celebrity, great, and you can make money fast. But that is really, really rare. So my first bit would be around that because if you don't have money to spend on your business, it's really hard to grow. So that's definitely my first bit. I think the second one is having a good network. Being an entrepreneur can be really lonely if you don't know other entrepreneurs, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what books to get, what courses to take. You're kind of just playing this guessing game so much of the way. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that same feeling where it's imposter syndrome and they don't know what they're doing, but they're just kind of guessing. And it wasn't until about a year plus in that I actually joined a network in my community of entrepreneurs. And it has literally opened up my world. And it was super cost effective. It wasn't anything, that I had to sink a lot of money into. And I'm now taking a business course. I've been teamed up with a mentor. I'm getting connections to different angel investors. It's just this whole world that I didn't think I needed, but I did. And I have this community now of entrepreneurs, super senior entrepreneurs, finance gurus, all these different types of people with different backgrounds where I went, this whole year working from home by myself, not having people to go to for questions, pretty much using Google as my best friend, to kind of having this space now. And for those that aren't, super well versed in being an entrepreneur and knowing everything, I think having people around you that are like-minded is super, super helpful. Aside from it, again, being a bit of a lonely journey sometimes, you get to talk to people who are like, I'm going through the exact same thing as you. And then it's just nice to kind of understand, have someone who understands what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last kind of piece of advice would be to not rely too much on experts when you're hiring people. So in the beginning, most entrepreneurs, like I mentioned earlier, we don't really hire employees full time, right? You want to kind of hire contractors or people off of, different platforms for one task at a time. My biggest mistakes that I made were hiring, individuals from all around the world to hire my Google ads or to manage my Google ads or to manage my Facebook ads. And I knew nothing about any of that. So I expected them to be the experts and do everything properly. I gave them my budgets and said, okay, go. And also my budgets, I was guessing. So having a proper cash flow would probably be smart. But my biggest, I think, challenge and kind of lesson learned was just because you're hiring these quote unquote experts to, run certain things for your business, you really should have an idea of what's going on. Because I wasted a lot of money hiring people who I thought were going to manage my ads or manage my, website and all of these different things, and realizing that they weren't really doing it properly. And I waited way too long before I checked how my ads were doing. I probably waited 4 or 5 months before I was like, are my ads actually converting? And then realizing they weren't. And it was just, it's a financial lesson learned. So I kind of wish I took a little bit of time, learned how to do the ads myself, and then at least I would be able to explain to the people that I'm hiring, exactly what I need and kind of monitor the ads a bit better. So those are kind of, I think, my high levels of my advice that I would give, and kind of bigger lessons learned, because the financial ones hit the hardest for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You live and learn, right? But that's great
Definitely.
advice.
So, Kara, this has been so insightful. We have one final question for you. As you
Mhm.
know, our podcast is called Kindred Spirits, and it's inspired by one of our favorite quotes, which says, "To discover a kindred spirit is to find your heart in the heart of a friend." So, our last question for you is, how do you know when you've found a kindred spirit?
I love that quote, by the way. That's so nice. Um, I think when I feel like I've actually found a kindred spirit, it's somebody that you can relate to on all levels, and your values align in every single way, and you kind of just get each other. I don't think it's the easiest thing to find, especially in the business world. A lot of people feel the pressure to kind of put on a front and who they want people, who they think that they have to be. um but I think when you find someone and people, take their walls down and they can be genuine and you just really are on the same page, same values, I think that that's when I would really feel like I have found a kindred spirit. So it's definitely a rarity though, for sure. But I'm noticing more that get out into the world and meet people and open up, that you never know who's out there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So true.
That's awesome. So where can, people find you and connect with you?
So we're available online at pawtyanimals.ca. That's PAWTY, like party, but with a paw. We're all about the puns with our brand. But we're actually also available in our many retailers across Canada. So we're in over 110 different retailers. So if you're ever shopping at a pet store, Independence, and even some Pet Values and Globals, you'll find us there as well. So definitely support your local businesses. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be around at lots more stores in the future.
Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you here and getting to know you. And we really appreciate you and your time.
Thank you both so much. I'm so happy to be on here. And yeah, thanks so much again.